This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, so the PBC Premier Boxing Champions Block Unifications, unless it's on one of their two networks. In other words, none of their fighters who are a champion are allowed to go onto another platform and defend that belt in a unification fight. It must be on either Showtime or Fox Sports. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how they are selfishly holding back fighters by putting their own interests first before the fighters and, more importantly, the fans. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about the pay-per-views, Deontay Wilder, Errol Spence Jr., Gervonta Davis, the Charlo twins, and a whole lot more. So if you are new and you just happen to stumble upon this channel, congratulations, you've just stumbled upon one of the best boxing channels on YouTube, on the planet. How do I know that? Well, the numbers don't lie. In fact, even the haters who get it in their feelings when I tell them the truth, when I tell them the facts, they keep coming back. So click the subscribe button and welcome. You're now part of the team. So big up, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the comment section below. So firstly, as I've said many, many times before, I'm not one of these boxing fans who will fanboy for a specific network. Even though I can't get any of the PBC, as in I can't get Showtime, I can't get Fox here in the UK, I still wish them all the best. And hopefully they will continue forevermore putting on boxing shows. Why? Because the more networks that put on boxing, the more content I can have. Old Muggins here. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to criticise them. Not at all. And I'm not hating on them either. But for the PBC to block unifications unless it's on their network is wrong. Because when you look at, say, DAZN in America, ESPN in America, Top Rank Matchroom, they do cross over their fighters. They will release some of their fighters to go over to the other network in a unification fight if there's more money on the table. But the PBC don't do that. In fact, even DAZN and Top Rank have offered their fighters to go over and fight on the PBC platforms, Showtime and Fox. Even then, it still ain't enough. Why? Well, I think, in my opinion at least, it's in case the away fighter, we'll call it the away fighter, gets the win, gets that belt, and takes that belt back over to the other platform. And what's kind of funny about it is that the PBC fanboys are okay with this. They support that. They support that the fighters should always have to fight on a PBC platform, Showtime and Fox. Even if that means costing them, out of their own pocket, 4 or 5 times more money than what it could do with their fighters if in the same fight going on DAZN or going on ESPN. That is disturbing. It really is. And even some of the uploaders here on YouTube who, even some of them have even been blocked from going to the PBC shows. But yet they still support them. Why are they blocked? Because the PBC don't want to be associated with some of these people and their ideologies. They don't want to be associated with them. But they're still, hey, PBC's the best. Everyone else should go have to fight on PBC. The PBC fighters even thank Al Heyman. Look after the fights. What is that most of the fighters do? Thank you, Al Heyman. Thank you. I was going to go on record and say, thank you, Al Heyman. Is it part of their contract that they have to do this? Are they requested to do that? Because I don't really recall fighters saying, thank you, Eddie Hearn. Thank you, Frank Warren. Thank you, Bob Arum. Thank you, Oscar De La Hoya. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We don't hear that, but on PBC we do. Don't get me wrong. I think that the word thank you is lost on today's society. For sure. It's a word that isn't used often enough. And people should say thank you. But it does seem that it's almost written into their contract. I don't know if it actually isn't inserted into their contract, or it's just a case of that they're just asked to do it. Why do they do it? So other fighters will hear them say thank you. Okay, so Al Heyman's doing something right. The fighters have been thanking him for it. You know what? I'm going to sign with PBC. There's always a method behind the madness. Of course there is. But even then, you see, some fighters are offered to go onto the PBC. And we're going to talk about Andre, we're going to talk about Triple G, we're going to talk about Canelo, we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. So a couple of examples would be, look at, say, the welterweight division, Errol Spence Jr. They're trying to boost him to be a pay-per-view star. Basically, they're trying to push him down people's throats. If you want to watch him fight, Well, you have to pay, what is it, about $85, something like that. Errol Spence Jr., Unification, against who? Sean Porter, in-house fight. Errol Spence Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. It was originally billed as a unification, but the WBA are no longer putting it on a unification. In my opinion, the reason why they're not giving Manny Pacquiao the super belt back from the WBA is because the PBC are worried that Manny Pacquiao may get the win, because I know that Manny Pacquiao doesn't have too much loyalty to the PBC and would be open to go over to ESPN and unifying with Terence Crawford. That's why I think that they haven't reinstated him as champion, and Ugas still has the WBA super belt. So what does that mean? Well, the winner of Errol Spence Jr. Manny Pacquiao, which is probably going to be Errol Spence Jr., even if the fight's pretty close, they're going to give it to Errol Spence Jr., okay? The winner of that fight is going to end up having to go fight Ugas. Another in-house fight. But have you noticed? No Terence Crawford there. No Terence Crawford, even in the pipeline for Errol Spence Jr. Every time that Terence Crawford is mentioned, Errol Spence Jr. starts shaking. He talks about going on an easier route. He talks about he's his own promoter, he's his own manager. Man Down Promotions, or whatever they ever had it called. But yet, refuses to be going across the street. Never heard this term in my life. Cross the street to go fight Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford has to go over to the PBC. That's the only way that that fight's going to happen. Other examples, 154. The 154-pound division. Super welterweight. Jermell Charlo, fantastic fighter. I really, really rate him. Unification against Rosario. In-house fight. Unification undisputed against Castano. Okay, the fight turned out to be a draw. In-house fight. Do you think that if Rosario and Castano were on DAZN or ESPN, do you think that either of those fights would have happened? No. Go back to Errol Spence. Do you think that if Manny Pacquiao was still a top-ranked fighter fighting on ESPN, do you think that fight would be happening? No. Of course it won't. Look at his older brother. Sorry, not his older brother, but bigger brother in Jermell Charlo, his twin, fights at 160 in the middleweight division. Never had a unification yet. Not one. Not one. He's not allowed to go over to DAZN to go fight Demetrius Andrade or Gennady Golovkin. If Demetrius Andrade and Golovkin or even Canelo want to fight Charlo, they have to go over to the PBC. In fact, Eddie Hearn even offered Demetrius Andrade to go over and fight on a PBC show, whether that be Showtime or Fox, makes no difference. All they have to do is pay Demetrius Andrade the same amount of money that they paid Sergey Devrichenko, who fought Charlo. Pay him the same money, and you can have that unification on your platform. They still won't do it. And the PBC fans are okay with that. They are okay with the PBC not allowing Jermell Charlo to go over to DAZN and have a unification fight. Deontay Wilder, never unified. Not once. Never even attempted to. Turned down $100 million to fight Anthony Joshua because he wasn't allowed to go over to DAZN. In fact, even DAZN offered him $120 million. All you have to do is fight Don Brazil on DAZN. You're mandatory at the time. Shouldn't have been a mandatory, but either way, he's going to fight Brazil anyway. Here's $20 million to do it. No, he's going to go fight on, was it Showtime? Whatever it was, instead. And they get another $100 million to fight Anthony Joshua twice for undisputed. $100 million. With the first fight being in the United States of America. Wasn't allowed to do it. Wasn't allowed to do it. Don't be wrong, I don't think Wilder really kicked up too much of a fuss about it. But he's allowed to fight Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury in the first fight didn't have a US network. He didn't have ESPN in that time. So he had to fight on a PBC network. In the rematch, even though he'd already signed his 5-fight deal with ESPN, part of the agreement had to be that it had to be on Fox, a PBC network. Are you seeing the pattern here so far? Caleb Plant, super middleweight champion, never unified. He's only allowed to fight Canelo if Canelo goes over to a PBC platform. Probably Fox, right? They've been holding that belt to ransom. Billy Joe Saunders defended his belt in a unification against Canelo. Callum Smith defended his belts, including the Ring Magazine, against Canelo. But yet Caleb Plant, whose resume is nowhere even close to a Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, is demanding twice as much money as either of those got. Why? Because it's undisputed. Why? Because he sat back, that's why, and refused to unify himself. Wait at the back of the queue. But suddenly they want to offer Canelo Alvarez, was it $40 million to fight on the PBC, to fight on Fox? $40 million. Let's go back to Deontay Wilder just for a second, where Wilder, he said to Anthony Joshua, 50 million, the money's in the bag. Okay, and I told you that the money was fake. It wasn't a real offer. That the money, because Frank Warren confirmed this, was coming from BT Sport, a platform here in the UK that Anthony Joshua cannot fight on. He's contractually obligated to fight on Sky Sports at the time. Well, he still is currently. But that's where the money was coming from. And I said, there's no way that Showtime at the time were putting up $50 million. So here is another proof in the pudding here. Are you telling me that the PBC were willing to pay Anthony Joshua $50 million to go fight Deontay Wilder, and then $40 million for Canelo to go fight Plant? Because they're both undisputed. Are you telling me that Anthony Joshua is a bigger name, a bigger brand, a bigger superstar on the shores of the United States of America than Canelo Alvarez? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? Come on now, behave yourself. Gervonta Davis, no unifications. He's not allowed to cross over to go fight, say, a Lomachenko, to go fight Josh Taylor even. Why? Because Josh Taylor, and nobody knows who Josh Taylor is, even though it's for undisputed, right? Even though that he was over 1 million viewers watching him take on that Mexican-American fella, Ramirez. His name slipped me for a minute. He's not allowed to go fight Teofimo Lopez on ESPN. He's not allowed to go fight Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia. Even Ryan Garcia, okay, that's not unification or anything, but he's not allowed to go fight Devin Haney on DAZN. He's not allowed. Floyd Mayweather told you he's not allowed. In-house fights only. And the PBC fanboys are okay with this. The PBC fanboys are okay with paying $85 for a pay-per-view for one night of boxing, for one fight, for one main headliner, $85, rather than pay, say, DAZN as an example, to have the same fight on DAZN and just pay $20 for the same fight. And within that $20, which is under quarter of the price, you also get a month worth of content. But they don't want to do that. They'd rather pay $85. Or if you want, pay $15 more, get the same fight and a 12 months worth of subscription with DAZN. 12 months worth. But you don't want to do that. You'd rather pay $85 for one fight night on pay-per-view. Absolute madness. Again, we can compare and say Fox and Showtime. Okay, let's just use that on DAZN. DAZN is a global platform. Global. It's in the United States of America. It's in Canada. It's in Mexico, Germany, the United Kingdom, Japan, China, Taiwan, and many, many other places. New Zealand, Australia. DAZN is over there. Showtime and Fox then. Showtime and Fox are exclusive to the United States of America. I don't know if in Canada and Mexico they can watch them. I'm presuming they can. But that's a behind the walls network, isn't it? People of the United States of America, there's a bigger world out there. There's a bigger boxing audience out there. DAZN has more boxing viewers, well, more viewers in general across the globe than what Fox and Showtime do. So your favourite fighter who you only want to be appearing on Fox and Showtime, fight on DAZN, you're getting a global audience for your favourite fighter. A global audience. But you don't want that, do you? It's called holding fighters back. Either you fight on our platform, Showtime, Fox, or you don't get the fight at all. But you know what? Don't forget to say, thank you, Earl Heyman. Thank you. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video. Subscribe.